Welcome, everyone, to Is This Love, the podcast where we navigate and discuss and answer your questions about the weird and wonderful world of love and relationships. Spooky season edition! Woo! Well, hi. I'm your scary host, Francis, a.k.a. the other guy. Ooh. And this is, of course, my favorite person in the world to be doing this show with whipped cream, Sara Nade.
Whipped cream.
She's the. In other words, that what would that costume look like if you were the whipped cream?
I think you'd go as the can.
You just go as the can. No,
I think that's what.
But you got to make a pun
like
out of it,
costume.
right? You got to carry a whip.
Oh,
right, for the whipped.
You're trying
cream.
to make it like something else. That's. Oh my god! Yeah, you could get weird with it for sure, if you wanted.
Look, if you're gonna. Oh, well, look. Whipped cream.
I mean, since everybody wants the sexy version of costumes.
That's true. It's not Halloween until you're, sexy. Yeah, sexy kind of whipped cream.
I mean, they're running out of ideas. Why not?
No, well, that's you know what I'm curious. I know we have in a couple episodes we're going to have a whole Halloween episode, but I am curious. What is the popular Halloween costumes this year? Because normally it's based off of a meme or something, like someone was what do you call it, the left shark from Katy Perry's Super Bowl halftime show. That was like a big costume, but I don't know like what's considered like what's cool anymore.
Well, I'm on like HalloweenCostumes.com. Of course, we've got Hocus Pocus costumes.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
And I mean, a lot of other things that have been around for a long time, like Harry Potter and Scooby-Doo and Alice in Wonderland, Avengers, Ghostbusters.
Oh, sure.
Like fairy tale stuff. I mean, it's not really that updated, at least not on this site.
Well, according to this, according to the strategist, here are the top costumes to wear. 21 very timely Halloween costume ideas. Okay, this is from October 5th of 2022. If you've seen the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is a really great movie, I love that film.
Oh, I still have to see that.
There is a scene where the world have hot dog fingers. And so the costume is that you have hot dog fingers, which apparently there are hot dog finger gloves that you can buy, which really freaks me out. There's a movie or a TV show called The Bear. Have you heard of The Bear?
I feel like maybe I've heard of it.
It's about a chef. I don't know. There's a chef in there that you can dress up as. It's really simple. Crocs, blue apron, and a white T-shirt. So that apparently is something. You could dress up as one of the soccer stars from Yellow Jackets, which is another popular TV show.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that or seeing the ads for that.
Oh, it's about cannibalism? Wow. Okay.
Yellow Jackets is?
Apparently, it says, if you haven't been following the fictional cannibalism craze, Yellow Jackets follows a high school team whose plane crashes en route to a national tournament and is left to survive out in the cold Canadian wilderness.
Yes.
Okay.
I was thinking of something else, but yes, I have seen the ads for that too.
Yeah. You could play, Beyonce's Renaissance, where you really just wear a dress that shows all of your bits because it's a dress just of string. My God, a porcelain horse, and then like a blonde wig, and then a couple more things here. You could be the inflatable, the wavy hand things from Nope, from the movie Nope. So you can do the.
I haven't seen that either. I don't know. Is it too scary?
I haven't seen it, so I don't know. I have no idea. That's a good question.
I'm sorry if like the sound is picking up the dog like stomping around trying to get my attention. I'm pet sitting right now.
It's all right. You know what's funny is I used to podcast with a friend of mine who had a dog who would constantly play with a squeaky toy while we were recording. And so all we could do, because we didn't have separate like channels or something, all I could do was listen to the squeaky toy being chewed the entire episode. So
God,
at least for some of it I can erase while we're talking, so that's not too bad for people who are like behind the scenes wondering like, I only hear the noise when Sarah's talking is because I deleted all that stuff in between.
Well, that's okay. She was stomping around. She wanted to play with her little doll, so I am playing with her a little bit right now, but shouldn't be making too much noise.
No, it's all right. Eddie Munson from Stranger Things. You know who that guy is? I don't know who that guy is. I never watched.
Munson.
I stopped watching after season 1, so I haven't.
There was a character people were crazy about who like played the electric guitar, so I wonder if that's him.
That's him.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. He seemed like quite the caricature, so I'm sure people really, really love to dress up like him and, relive their favorite scenes.
Oh, sure. You could be Serena Williams as she bids farewell to tennis. Apparently that's a costume. The cast of Fire Island, which sounds like something you would watch. There, Sarah.
Wasn't that like... Oh, no, that's Fire Festival. Never mind.
No. So it says, if you've never been to Fire Island, just wear a pair of tiny swim trunks. That's it. Or a Speedo. And a tank top. And a gold chain.
That sounds like a lot of reality shows.
It's a lot, yeah. You could be characters from the movie Don't Worry, Darling, which apparently was very controversial in its creation.
Oh, they like not follow certain
No, it was
laws or something.
No, when there was beef between the actors and the director in that movie.
Oh.
So yeah, a lot of drama on set. So you could be that, or this is my favorite, I think, because it's weird. Even though there's a couple more, Bennifer 2.0.
Oh, did they get back together?
They're married. They got married in Vegas.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm so far behind.
So you could be Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez for Halloween.
Oh, it's J-Lo.
Yeah.
Not Jay Aniston.
No, different Jennifer. Yeah.
Or wait, was that the other Jennifer he dated, or was it Jennifer?
No, you're thinking of Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston, and who?
Then who didn't? Oh my gosh! Wait, Bennifer is Brad Pitt and J-Lo?
No, Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck and J-Lo, and then wasn't there another Jennifer that he dated?
I don't recall Ben Affleck's love life, but
I remember there being a thing like, oh my god, it's Bennifer again.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They were together for a long time, and then they broke up, and then now they're back together again.
Yeah,
so,
I remember that. I knew someone who met him during the Bennifer days, or I know someone who met him during the Bennifer days, the original Bennifer days.
He apparently dated Gwyneth Paltrow. Oh, Jennifer Garner was his other Jennifer. That's the
one. Yes,
that's the one you're thinking of.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Wow, he's dated a lot of people. Oh, good for him. Not a lot. It's only 6, but still, for someone who's
celebrity life.
I was gonna say, but they're all celebrities. That's the funny thing.
Yeah.
Like, they're all just 6 celebrities, and then back to Jennifer. Anyway, there's a bunch more. You just look up The Strategist, or it's actually, I guess it's NewYorkMag.com, The Strategist, and they have a bunch of other costumes on there from all sorts. They have 21. One of which is pregnant Rihanna. Apparently, you can dress up as pregnant Rihanna. I mean, sure, but yeah. Oh, A League of Their Own. Yeah, there's a ton. There's a ton. It just keeps going and going and going. So go ahead and get dressed up for Halloween. I'm dressing up as nothing. So there you go.
Probably me too.
Well, I'm dressing up as guy who goes to work on Halloween. That's how I'm going to dress up as.
Do they not dress up at your office?
It's just me. So why would you?
Oh, you work from home?
No. I work in the office, but I'm by myself. Everyone else works from home. I hope to be working from home soon. That's the goal. It's for me to work from home soon. But
that's kind of lame that you don't get to, but everybody else does.
It was kind of out of necessity because some of the work requires somebody physically being at a location to do a lot of like handling of equipment that you wouldn't put in a home, right? Industrial printers, industrial stuff like that. So it's like, okay, well, obviously somebody has to do it. And I was more than happy to do it because I got to be by myself and just sit in an office by myself. Like, whatever. That's cool.
I mean, you get a change of environment. So that's nice.
Yeah. But that'll end soon. I'll be working from home in a few, weeks or months. And then I'll miss it because all I'll have is a room to work in. Ooh, yay, we're a room working. I don't have a whole office to kind of call my own, but anyway. So we are again in the middle of spooky season, which means we've got no, we don't have spooky questions. we you know what? We should ask people to give us spooky questions not to liven, but to get us in the Halloween spirit as we get closer and closer to the 31st. But what questions do we have in our patented sing-song? Is this love questions? Question segment. Okay, I had to leave space for us to sing.
I like it. I saw you like do a little bit dancing to it in your head.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a sort of general question, which is, what's the most surprising thing you discovered about someone after moving in with them?
Ooh, that's a good question. So, I've only ever moved in with one person, so. What was it? No. Well, wait a minute. I was going to say, but how many? I was going to ask you real before I guess I answer was how many times have you moved in with somebody?
I have lived with two different partners.
Moving in is a fun experience. I think. Well, no, it is because it's exciting. You get to be with somebody like who you only saw occasionally. You now get to see them all the time.
That's true. And sometimes you get to save a lot of money, so that's nice.
That too. So there's such a big difference when you're just seeing someone on occasion and you have to leave them to go home somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, well, never have to think about that again, right? Like I could just do something until I see them again, obviously, but like I get to go home and like be a slob, right?
Yeah.
You allow yourself to drop all pretenses. Now, was that the case for you in those two cases? Like, did you just drop all pretenses and you were just a completely different person now that you guys live together, or were you the exact same person?
I mean, I think I was the same person.
Okay.
I think I was the same person. I generally, when I live with roommates, I keep whatever mess I have to like whatever is my space. And I'm pretty clean on like shared spaces.
Mm-hmm.
I lived with one person where I had my own room. It was a small room, but I had my own room, which turned out to be a good thing.
Yeah.
So that was probably like my messiest area of the place. And it was a tiny room. So it wasn't that much of a mess.
Sure. Yeah.
But, I think I'm pretty much the same person. I might be like, more like, hey, can you help out a little bit more? Instead of like when they're just visiting me and I'm like, I'll take care of that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I'm the same person. I guess you'd have to ask the other person.
That's true. I guess it's hard to tell, right? Because when the one time I moved in with somebody, we had kind of experienced a little bit about, I guess we had a little bit of an understanding of spending a lot of time together because we spent a lot of time together constantly over and over and over again. So I guess we had a little bit of an idea of our home lives. So I know we knew what to expect from each other. Like, I think we knew what to expect from our habits and who had what responsibilities and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely a different experience because you can't be, or at least I try not to be the slob I normally am which isn't that much of a slob. I'm not really that much of a slob,
no.
in all honesty. Like, I make my bed every morning for the most part.
Me too. I'm definitely a bed maker.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, all right, time to make the bed. And it surprises me. I get so much flack for making it's like, why do you make your bed? You're going to mess it up again later on. It's like, it doesn't matter. It looks, it's set
There's
up.
something like visually about it where, I don't know if it's messy. It just, the whole place feels messy. It's like, and it gives me kind of the same feeling as like wearing pajamas all day. I cannot do that unless I'm sick.
Oh, I can do that.
Oh, I definitely can't. I just feel like I'm covered in a film of some kind. Like I just feel so gross unless I'm sick, and I'm just like, I'm already super gross anyways.
Right.
Yeah, I can't do that. Can't do the pajamas all day. But like, what was the most surprising thing about your partner when you moved in?
I think it was I think we talked about it before in another episode, but just not, cleaning and picking up after herself, really, which I already knew anyway. Mm-hmm. I kind of expected, but it was surprising that it's like, well, this is now your whole space. Like this apartment that we live in is all of your space. I mean, it's mine too, but it's all of our space, right? So, like, don't you care about any of the space? Like, and it's like, well, not really, apparently, It wasn't that big of a deal that it was left kind of.
Yeah, that's kind of annoying.
Yeah, but I mean, look, it was an interesting set of situations that I felt was, again, unique to what was happening between the two of us at the time. So, I wasn't working, she was working, so I was a stay-at-home guy.
Boyfriend or husband.
Husband, yeah. So I did clean and I did take care of that stuff. But I don't know what I expected from her. I was hoping for something.
You know what?
I
think even if that's the case, you can still pick up after yourself,
Right,
like,
yeah.
I think it's silly when one person is like the stay-at-home partner and the other person like can't even put their dish in the dishwasher, or they can't like pick up their own clothes off the floor. Like, yeah, you might be doing the laundry and you might be like doing the dishes after cooking or whatever, but they just leave things around. It really starts, I mean, from what I've understand, it really starts to wear on the person who's, like my job in this relationship is to like kind of keep the house together, but you're acting like a toddler. And you're an adult, you can do that,
Yeah, no, exactly. So it was, again, it was a weird situation, but I think that was probably the most surprising thing. No weird eating habits. No, I hear like people have weird habits that they didn't have before. Like I didn't change my regimen on, like, I don't know, like cutting your nails, for instance, right? Mm-hmm. Like, apparently that's something you don't discover until you live together, because that's a thing that you do in private, right? You just cut your nails in private and whatever. Like,
that doesn't bother me when other people cut their nails.
But people do different ways of doing it, right? Like some people just like, they don't find a place to throw them away. They just cut it and let them fly all over the place.
Okay.
Like,
this is still part of the same problem. Right?
Well, it's still part of the same problem, but it's...
You can't leave your body trimmings everywhere either.
But I'm saying, like, that's a surprise when people do that. Oh, you just kind of let it go. Okay. That's weird, but okay. Like, aren't you afraid you're going to step on it? Well, no. But I mean, like, would you be afraid you stepped on it and it hurt? Like, it would just, like, it's like Legos. It's like sharp
gross.
Legos.
It's disgusting.
And it's gross. Yeah, that's true. That too, yeah.
I would be like, yeah, I would not be okay with that. I'd be like, can you keep it to like a pile and then throw that pile away?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's but nothing, again, I don't think, other than a few things, there wasn't anything too dramatic. And it sounds like it wasn't really anything dramatic from you, right? Your partner.
Oh, yeah. There was a very dramatic surprise and
hit me.
A lot darker than.
Hit me. Ooh, dark.
Yeah.
No.
Gosh,
you don't have to say it was dark.
It was dark, yeah. I lived with one partner, and it wasn't really till I lived with him. I knew he had some substance problems.
Oh, yeah.
But it wasn't until I lived with him till I got to see the extent of it. And man, it was pretty intense. I don't think I've ever seen, like, even in the media, this, like, problem represented so, gosh, I don't want to say, like, destructively, like, he would, like, go on a rampage or anything, but he would just be out of commission for days.
Wow.
At a time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He'd just be in his room, like, unable to do very much at all and, like, not really eating or drinking anything for days.
And while you guys were dating, you kind of could explain, well, he's busy, as opposed to, like, knowing the real thing, I guess.
Oh, you mean, like, before I moved in?
Yeah.
I think before I moved in, he was, I think he might have been, like, keeping a handle on it a little bit better. Like, a little bit more, not on the wagon, but a little bit more on the wagon. Mm-hmm. And then once I moved in, and probably, like, the first time it happened, and he saw that I was, like, concerned for him and, like, kind of took care of him, he was probably like, oh, well, then it'll happen sometimes and whatever.
Right. Yeah. I got someone who's got my back. Yeah, it's like, well, I got my caretaker here now, so it's all good. I have someone who's going to look after me. So, yeah, that's tough. Yeah, I've been lucky enough not to experience that. Yeah, I've been very fortunate enough not to experience that. That's for sure. I don't know how to be able to handle that. That's scary to me, because
it is. And I'd never, I have known people with substance abuse issues, and I've known them all to, like, go into recovery and do great. And so I'm like, oh, well, it's, it's not, I mean, I know it was really hard for them to do that, but it's not that big of a deal. You can work on it and you can get better. Yeah. But I hadn't really ever known someone who was in the midst of it. Wow. And so it was a new experience all around.
Yeah. One that you probably would rather do without, but I mean, I guess it's, it happens. So what are you going to?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things going forward. I'm like, I know that's one of my red flags now, if it wasn't before.
Yeah, that's the readiest of red flags. I mean,
if someone's still struggling with their addiction and not interested in recovery, I would say they're probably not in a great space for a relationship.
Yeah, but if they're in recovery and you're supporting them through that, that's cool. Like that's a way to go. And
I think it's good too if they've been in recovery for a while, because I think he might have considered himself in recovery, but it'd only been a few months.
Yeah.
And then we started dating, and then he quickly went back the other direction. So I think it's probably, and I think they suggest this in, like, a lot of programs, is like you wait a while in recovery before you get into a relationship.
Oh, yeah. Because you never know. Someone might actually, like, encourage or, I don't know. What's it called? Not encourage. What's the word I'm thinking of? They'll facilitate? No, they'll.
Well, like they're doing it too. Like,
or maybe, or at least they're not as, they're like, oh, well, on occasion, like, whatever, it's fun, right? It's like people who drink, right? It's like people who are
it's like a social thing for them. And then, for sure. For sure. Definitely. Yeah, I saw that as a big problem too. It's just like other people being like, hey, it's fun when we do it. And people that, like, he knew and his family and stuff. And I was like, that's got to be really hard for your family member here who's, struggling and is not. I mean, you never want to, like, tell people what they can or can't do. And I know that's, like, from what I understand, a lot of people who are even in recovery are like, they don't necessarily want to tell other people what to do.
Right. Yeah.
Or be like, I can't hang out with you if you enjoy this. But I don't know. I feel like I don't want to make it harder for them, So I feel like I would just choose that on my own, which I did. Yeah. I chose to be, like, completely drink free when I was with him for the most part.
Yeah. It's interesting because even though it's, I mean, you have the good ones when they're willing to kind of make those types of, I guess, sacrifices. Even though I wasn't an alcoholic, I was with somebody who, because I didn't drink, just because I didn't like the taste of alcohol, it's not because I'm an alcoholic or anything. It's just I don't like the taste of alcohol or anything. And they're like, well, I don't want to be the person who drinks and you don't. Like, I don't have to. Like, it's whatever. I'm like, I don't care. you can do whatever you want. Like, I'm just not going to do it because I don't like the flavor. I just don't like the taste. Like it's very intense for me. It's a very strong flavor. That's it. That's like the only issue I had. And it took a while, but I was able to convince her. It's like, or to feel comfortable to be able to socially drink and stuff, because it's like, yeah, I know you're trying to feel like you're doing me a favor, but that it's fine. Like nothing changes. I'm perfectly okay. Yeah. So, but it's cool that you have people like that who want to be supportive and who want to be like, okay, well, if this is your lifestyle, I want to be able to be a part of that type of lifestyle. So that's nice. Mm-hmm. So find someone like that, people out there. Look for someone who's willing to do that, and then convince them they don't have to if it's no big deal. But that's I guess the last thing I guess we'll say about something surprising you discover when someone moves in. I think that, again, this is probably very common. This is, again, anecdotal, but people put their best foot forward when dating, right? Like we obviously are the nicest, most whatever people in the world when we date. When you move in with somebody and there's that familiarity, boy, did those defenses drop, and those kind of pleasantries kind of go away, because it's like, well, we're together now and we live in the same place, so I don't really have to be as gentlemanly or maybe as ladylike as I used to be. And people start, belching and farting and all sorts of gross. Yeah, it's like,
oh my gosh, I have an ex and.
Oh boy, here we go.
He did pass gas rather loudly once. It didn't say excuse me, and I looked at him. I was just like, wow, and he was like, what? We're not in the honeymoon phase anymore. I was I guess that's true.
I had a friend of mine who dated his girlfriend in high school, and they were together for a very long time. And his flatulence was became notorious when they started living together, right? Mm-hmm. Because now he doesn't have to hold them in anymore. And did I mention that I've told you this, right? I've never done that in front of in front of a partner or any person. I'm just
really impressed that just not even accidentally.
Not even, no, not accidentally. No, I know how to hold that. I have what do you call it? An airtight anal sphincter.
I guess so. I mean, I'm never to the point where I'm like, I just don't care. I'm never to that point, but
it's happened.
I've never known anyone, I guess, except for you, who just never did.
I just can't, I feel so bad doing it. And plus, again, I kind of put it on this friend of mine who, again, for a very long time, until I guess he moved in with his girlfriend, was like, I don't fart. No, never. It's just never going to happen. And then he did it all the time, and it was a joke. He thought it was hilarious. We were driving to, me, him, and his wife were driving somewhere once, and you just see him subtly press a button on his side door to obviously lock the windows.
Oh, I thought you meant to put the window down. God, nope. What a jerk.
He locked the windows so that we couldn't put them down. I guess there used to be a feature like that. There's not that feature doesn't exist anymore. And he let one rip, and he was laughing the whole time.
Oh my God. See, maybe guys would find that funny. I would not find that funny.
She was so angry.
Yeah, I would be so mad if my partner thought that kind of thing was funny and did it
But that made it even funnier for him that she got so upset. Right. That's part of, yeah.
See, I don't like that. I don't like it when you can tell something makes your partner mad and that's amusing to you. Yeah, I don't think that's a good thing to have in a relationship. I mean, some people maybe are like, oh, I don't care. He's just that way. But to me, I'm like, dude, I told you that makes me mad. Right. The fact that you're amused by that makes me feel like there's no way to get you to stop.
Some couple, yeah. I mean, he's pretty courteous usually. But yeah, that was one of the few times where he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna let these guys suffer. But, I don't know. It's some people are just like that, where they just get a kick out of just poking the bear. I don't know why.
Yeah,
they like to poke the bear.
The thing is, if like someone does something that annoys me and they think it's funny, but it's not a big deal to me, I have like a different like anger reaction to it where it's kind of like funny.
Sure.
But if like someone does something and I'm like, I really don't like that, I need them to like not do it, you know?
Right. Well, yeah. Ideally, you hope they're not going to go overboard on it. But anyway, so there you go. Just letting them rip is a weird thing that happens when you move in with somebody. All right. Now, to give you a little bit of behind the scenes here, this is going to be a back-to-back recording for us. So if you hear these episodes, just know that if you like email or ask a question, you're like, oh my God, I haven't heard in 2 episodes. It's because we recorded episodes back-to-back. So we apologize for that ahead of time. But with that in mind, we're going to jump into a right cow, left coast corner because, boy, does this man love to give us questions. So what does Right Cow have for us this week?
Okay. Well, we still have quite a few leftover questions from last episode. So I'm going to pick a couple of those. And then next episode, we'll have the newer questions to choose from.
That works. Love it. Love it.
So I kind of like saved this one from last time because we were already quite a ways into the episode last time. And this is a broader question, but I do like it. And that is, what are good ways to resolve conflicts and what are bad ways to resolve conflicts?
All right. Well, Sarah, how do you resolve a conflict?
Well, I have my preferred way to resolve conflicts. And then the tricky thing is if my partner is up for that too, or if they just go off the rails.
All right. So fisticuffs. Okay.
Yeah. Well, hopefully not fisticuffs. That would happen one time and then I'd be out. But yeah, I think so. What I prefer and what I have experienced before, which is like definitely what I would prefer in a relationship, is when we both like, there's like rules and guidelines for respectful communication. Mm-hmm. And it's not always easy, but it's really, really nice when you can both use them in conflicts.
Right.
And it's like things, a lot of people have heard of, like, say, I feel, and try not to say you too much. And also have the opportunity to put things on a pause and like give it like an amount of time and say, let's come back in 20 minutes or an hour. Just lots of things like this. And when I did have a partner who did that kind of communication as well, it was really, really nice. Like, I think that's absolutely, in my opinion, the gold star way to resolve conflicts. And they actually taught me about this thing called the Gottman Institute, which is like studied marriages and divorces and stuff. And they have a lot of like the guidelines for how to communicate this way. And they're also the ones who came up with the 4 horsemen of like the apocalypse of a relationship. And those are like some bad communication. Like those are the bad conflict resolution things like stonewalling and insults and things like that.
The 4 horsemen is criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling.
Yeah. So trying to avoid those things. And this is hard. And sometimes it takes some work. Like I had to get better at this. I did. It's hard and it can take some work, but it's really, really worth it. And I think that's, if you can avoid the 4 horsemen and you can really focus on respectful and clear communication and something I learned from a therapist, which is repair after rupture, which is like if things do get out of hand and you just do yell at each other or you like leave the room and you don't, say, hey, let's come talk later, like ways to repair that and coming up with these things before you get in a fight, how you guys want to handle that is really healthy and good too. So that's my favorite way to do it. And yeah, I think the 4 horsemen are things I've run into in other relationships. And I would say those are not good ways to resolve conflict. And I've probably been guilty, especially of like stonewalling, because I've been in the past, like I get like closed up when I'm unhappy or closed off and I don't want to talk. And that's not helpful. And I didn't realize like how unhelpful it was until later.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm a stonewaller for sure. It's interesting because I cannot think of too many people who probably resolve conflicts in a healthy manner. I think that's a rarity. really. I think a lot of people do this four horsemen thing a lot, obviously, right? Because that's why,
Well, and they do happen, even if you're healthy, they probably are going to happen at some point. It doesn't mean you're divorced like the second one of these comes out.
No, right. Yeah. Wow. Well, that's it. We're done. I guess we can't have we can't do this anymore, apparently. Yeah, no, it's funny because with my ex-girlfriend, I think we resolved conflicts. I thought we did it better, but it was still pretty bad. When you think about it in hindsight, it was it's kind of manipulative.
Yeah.
And on her end, I don't want to, poo-poo on anybody so soon, but I recognize that a lot of it was a little manipulative and a little bit, trying to, very puppety kind of playing with the string stuff. But my ex-wife was even stranger because her idea of resolving conflict was yelling it out. Like that's what she preferred, right? She wanted to scream about it. She wanted to get out the emotion. She just wanted to get it out there and done with. Like, if I'm mad at you, I want to be able to just scream it out and yell it out and be done with it, right?
Right.
Which I can't imagine is good either.
No, probably not.
But,
I've been on the other end of a screamer before. I had a relationship where he yelled like scary when he was mad. And in that relationship, I became like, I learned in fights to become totally monotone and like super quiet. And the thing is when people get angry, they don't even realize what they're doing. Like he actually thought we didn't fight.
Oh,
because he was used to dating women who would scream back at his level and sometimes throw things at him.
Sure.
And since I didn't, he was like, we have a great relationship. We never fight. I'm like, our fights are the scariest thing I've ever experienced in my life. So I don't know what planet you're living on, but I am not like as happy about this as you clearly are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally know what you mean by like the manipulation thing, but I've been like guilty of that too because stonewalling is a kind of manipulation.
It is.
And like freezing someone out even if you're like, I just can't deal with it. I just can't talk to them. Yeah, it's hard work to do it. It is hard work to be like mature and clear and like say what you mean and give them a chance to like hear it without attacking or accusing or blaming. It's hard. So feeling like, oh, I just can't do it. I'm just going to be quiet and keep it to myself and like let them see that I'm unhappy. And then that's all the information they need.
Yeah.
I realized that was really manipulative and it was hard work for me to change that. So it's not easy, but it's so worth it. Like when I've had conflicts where we both like attempt at that more healthy way to do it, it's really great. Like we both leave the conversation either being like, well, let's talk about this again later, or yeah, I feel really good.
Yeah. I think that's definitely the way to go. I feel that I'm pretty easygoing. I don't get upset or angry very often. I try to avoid conflict as much as possible, in all honesty, which is I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. Because I'm pretty agreeable. I try not to push back too much on certain things. But I do know that because I don't allow myself to get angry very often, I do have points where which is bad, right? But there are points where I get frustrated enough to where I don't have that control anymore, and then I just let the emotion take over, and then I get angry, and
Dude,
I
totally get what you're saying because that's the same thing I would do, and that's another. Even though it feels like I'm just trying to avoid conflict and be like the bigger person. That's another really tough thing to learn is like saying when something bothers you. Yeah. And like setting a boundary because I would never do that. I felt like it was like selfish or, I was being I was asking too much of them. And I know it comes from a good place and like a place of wanting to please other people, but it actually does end up with like built up resentments. And I could see all this when I was like in this situation where the other person was had done a lot of practice with healthy communication. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, like, why do I get so upset with him? And he keeps like trying to ask me what's wrong. And I have such a hard time telling him what's wrong. And I had to like come up with all these steps for it. Like, I was like, how about when I'm upset and you ask me what's wrong, I say I'm processing some things and then I'll tell you later. Like, I had to come up with all these baby steps to like get better at it. So I totally know what you mean. I've definitely been there.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. You know, I think that's, you know, I think that's why, I mean, it's given me a pretty good reputation with people in the sense of like, oh, well, he's easygoing. Oh yeah, he's cool to be around. Like, he never gets this, that, and the other thing. It's like, well, yeah.
Well, that's easier with friends, right? Like, I
it's
don't
easier
really
with friends,
ever
that's
get
true.
upset with my friends. That's pretty easy.
No, that's true. Yeah, that's true. You're right, because the stakes are. It's going to sound weird, but the stakes are lower when it comes to that stuff, right? Because you don't really, you know, there's no romantic or anything like that on the line.
And you could take a break from them and they probably won't even notice.
Exactly. Right. So I think, that's definitely a different story, but you know, so that's, so the good ways are everything that Sarah said. The bad ways is everything I've said so far. So
oh
there
my
you
God.
go.
No, I'm just as guilty as you. So you know, it's hard work.
It's hard work.
It's tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, good question, I think.
Yeah, very.
Okay, I like this question because this is something I haven't thought about in a long time. But what's your thoughts on contract marriages? How have contract marriages impacted subcultures? What are your thoughts on sites like Cherry Blossom, sites that offer remote dating of women overseas with the goal of marrying and having the woman immigrate to be with their new spouse? Why do they tend to be women from Asia and East Europe? Would you recommend such type of dating with the goal of marriage to others?
So you haven't had to think about this because it's been a while since you've been in a contract marriage. God. Is that why?
There used to be like docu-series and like things like that on this kind of thing, and I haven't seen those in a while. But the show 90 Day Fiancé kind of brings, not specifically always this, but sometimes they're similar situations,
right?
For men and women in America, and I'm just going to use America as a catch-all for all the countries where people pay for these services.
Sure, right.
But both men and women who search for people from other countries who want to come to America. Yeah. And that's not always how it happens on 90 Day Fiancé. Sometimes they just meet them, or they meet them on a generic dating site.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of like brought somewhat of the idea back into the media, I think. But yeah, they used to have like docu-series and stuff that I would watch on this, but it's been a minute since I've seen any of those.
I think that it is a good alternative for men who aren't looking for anything substantial in a relationship, I guess. If they're just looking for something super superficial, I guess this is a good way of doing it, right? Like, I don't know. I know why. I mean, the trend for them being from Asia and East Europe is you know, monetary, right? Like, it's just getting out of poverty to be able to marry someone who has wealth and influence. Yeah. I mean, they're the only type of people that can afford the service, is people with some type of small fortune. I remember going into a restaurant once and I saw what looked like to be a young, maybe late 20s, early 30s Asian woman just kind of standing there waiting. And all of a sudden, this like really gross looking 60-year-old man goes up behind her and like kisses her and stuff. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, God.
Well, that was paid and bought for. Oh my goodness. It was it was the craziest thing. I was like, oh my goodness. That is so so weird. But it made me laugh. I was just like, oh man, that's well, like, all I could think of is like, dude, do you have no shame? Like, come on. Like, what is going on here? And she could barely speak English. It was really it was the craziest thing. But yeah, I mean, if you're wealthy and lonely, I guess. Yeah. So, I mean, is this a good thing? What do you think, Sarah? What are your thoughts on this, having watched so many docuseries on them?
Well, okay, I watched a couple docuseries, but I also did some research into this because I saw his question beforehand.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how much of these numbers are accurate because I know some of them come from the sites themselves, so they're going to boost their numbers, right? Yeah. But, and I also like researched, like people who are in these relationships or know people who are in these relationships and how it kind of is for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so actually they do boast a much higher success rate for like a long-term marriage.
Oh, wow.
Than, like other kinds of marriage. Yeah. So that's good. And a lot of these people do report being happy. So it's not like it's always, you know, a weird dynamic where clearly they never would want to be together otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
But also like sometimes when the person who's not from America, and it's usually men trying to find women, but like I said, with 90 Day Fiancé, you can see that it's also men and women. And, there are sites even for women to look for husbands, but usually the person who's not from America, it seems like even if they're not super happy with their spouse,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many like benefits to that relationship. Like they have kids together and their kids get to be born and raised in America,
Yeah,
right?
they become citizens,
Yeah. And for the women, like it's not even just that our country is so much wealthier. They're coming from countries where they didn't have as many rights. So it's a lot nicer to be here. Yeah. And men and women from other countries have a lot better education and job opportunities here. Mm-hmm. So in this marriage, they might not be like as in love with that person as they could be, but they have better life satisfaction. So they might be like, yeah, it's actually a good marriage.
Right.
But a lot of people actually not everyone,
right.
But a lot of people are happy. It seems to me. And I will agree with you that like from the docuseries and from 90 Day Fiancé, there are, I mean, besides just like, you know, old people wanting a beautiful young person, which I saw that with men and women on the show.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's not one-sided on that one for sure.
Yeah. Lots of older Americans of all genders looking for younger people from other countries who want to come to America.
Why not?
But it also seems like sometimes, and this could be part of it, or that could be part of it, people are looking specifically for a relationship with a power imbalance that benefits them. And to me, that's icky. Like, I
mean, yeah, but
they're looking for someone who's not used to having rights or equality so they can kind of enjoy that, or someone where they can kind of hold the fact that they're the American with the American status over them and be like, that's why you're here and you need that from me. So you're going to kind of put up with, you know, my crappy personality that people around here won't put up with.
Sure. But they might not even understand it. I mean, this person's crappy personality may be a million times better than the crappy personalities from where they come from. So
I mean, it might be. Yeah. I will say, and obviously it's a reality show, so it's not 100% accurate, but if you watch like 90 Day Fiancé, sometimes the person who comes from the other country is like, wow, I'm not loving the way they're treating me right now.
Right.
And they're like, you're just here for a green card. All their family members are like, how do we know you're not just here for a green card? How do you know you actually care? And they're like, well, aren't I here also because I'm 20 years younger than you and that's what you want? So you're judging me awfully harshly, you know?
I mean, it's a contract for a reason, right? Like it's arranged. It's kind of it's arranged, I guess, right? Not like the arranged marriages of, you know, India, China, etc. But like
they used to call it like mail order bride, you know?
Yes.
But I don't think these days it doesn't really feel like that. I don't know how it seemed like it kind of worked that way in the past, right. But these days I think it's more of a matchmaking service, like very similar to how matchmaking services work here. Mm-hmm. Like you kind of pay for the same thing that you would pay for here, and then you would pay for travel expenses. But like the difference is the people who join the service are specifically looking for American partners.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're specifically looking to come to America, but you're not really like, you know, I want this one and she'll take any American, so she's mine now. But more like
any of them.
They'll like give you, I don't know if you know anything about like matchmaking services here. I have a friend who's done it, and kind of like how he described it was they like give you a set of matches, and then you like who you're interested in, you kind of like see how that works out. Right. So they are like dating these people.
Yeah.
You know,
it is very much it's a more in-person version of online dating, in the sense of you match based off of, I guess you get to pick your matches and you actually have choices to pick from. and you actually get to spend time with them to check compatibility versus online dating, which is similar but kind of in reverse, where the women have all of the choices and they get to pick and choose who they want. So it's a little bit in that respect. But
yeah. Like matchmaking services usually their customers are men.
Yeah.
And they usually do a lot more of the service for men. And they usually, unlike an online dating service that has like an algorithm, they actually have professionals who look at what you're looking for and look at what she's looking for and, try to make that work. So it's definitely more personalized.
Yeah.
And I do think a lot of these people travel to the other country and spend some, one-on-one time with their partner before they just come over here. So it's not really, I think, what we used to think of mail order brides to be.
Yeah. No, it'd be nice. It's nice that they're able to afford it, and make it work that way. Like, I guess if you have the funds, you can find yourself a compatible person from another country, and it'll work out great because, I get there's someone for everyone apparently, and they just might be in another country. You never know, but yeah.
Yeah, and some people are like, I'm just not meeting anybody here that is working out, and I'll try this thing, and
yeah, Matt.
I don't know. I think it can work. I think it can work and be good. It's not necessarily.
It's not as.
I don't even know if it's
skeezy.
Sorry, what's that?
It's not skeezy anymore, as much.
It still is sometimes, but I think there's a lot of success stories where both people are happy.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
So,
I'm glad. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing if I ever win the lottery.
I don't think it's that expensive. Like, although the travel expenses are probably a bit.
I feel like it has to be somewhat, right? Like, because you have to.
It's probably somewhat.
You're literally transplanting someone from a completely different country into yours and into your world, right? Like that's literally what you're doing. They don't have a job. They don't have, they're literally just being picked up and put down somewhere else. Like that's just in the grand scheme of things, because they're not going to have a job here when they get here. They're not going to have all of this stuff. You're literally just kind of like, okay, well, I'm paying for someone else to live with me for, even though we're compatible and we're dating or whatever, it's not a typical American relationship where both people are usually working, both people are professionals of some sort or whatever, and they're doing something. Yeah. So I don't know. But
yeah, no, that's true. Like, you probably shouldn't spend all your money on the service because they come over and you have to support both of you now.
Yeah. But crazy. But yeah, it's cool that it's still, happening and working out for people.
Yeah, it is sometimes. So
yeah.
If it works out, if you're looking for love and like genuine love where you're like, I want a partner that I'm going to treat well.
Yeah.
And, I think they'll treat me well. I think it's totally fine no matter how it happens. As long as it's all above board. You definitely don't want to go to like some sort of weird scam site or something. As long as it's all legal and good, I think it's great.
Yep. So therefore we with caveats recommend if you can do it.
If you want to do it, go for it. And then he asked me a question. He asked if I was going to DesignerCon and is it a good place to meet potential future relationship partners? I'd actually never heard of it until he asked this question. So I did look it up. I think it's in Anaheim this year in November. Mm-hmm. So probably not. That's kind of soon. And Pete needs his own accommodations made. And the Cat Hotel likes to have a lot of notice. So, probably I won't be going this year. It does look cool though. I don't know if it's a good place to meet people. Like, I've been to Emerald City Comic-Con a few times, and I gotta say I haven't really like flirted with anyone there. So it's just so packed of people,
It's hard to. I know that people do meet, and I actually recommended it in previous podcasts. Like, go to a convention where you could meet like-minded people if you're single and looking for somebody. It's hard to because everyone's trying to do something. I wish there were dedicated panels. Sometimes there's conventions where they do speed dating. I went to one where it was free for women, $20 for men.
Ladies' night.
Well, it's because all the dudes want to go, and it's just hard to get women in. So you just
gotta have some incentive.
You gotta have some incentive. So, it was pretty packed. It was an interesting. It was sold out like for the whole 3-day convention. It was just sold out every single day.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and they had like several.
Maybe we should do that.
Yeah, maybe, because that seems to be, it was really popular, and it seemed to be like what you do is you sat, there was like just chairs, tables and chairs, and the women would sit in each chair, and the guys would just rotate, right, in a circle with, I think, 3 minutes, I think was I think it was like 3 minutes, because it's speed dating, right? 3 minutes to impress the person. You go boom, 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 boom. And then you had a number. And if the girl was interested in you, they would write your number down. And at the end, you would exchange information at the end of the speed dating stuff.
Like they would give you the information of the girl if she liked you.
Right. If you got the number, so you guys, there would be that exchange, and then you can, take it from there.
Maybe we should do that.
Have you ever done speed dating? Is this something you've ever tried?
I haven't, but I've definitely read about it. But I thought it would be fun to do.
It could be.
I mean,
yeah,
it could be. I mean, it's fast, so it's not like you're going to be spending the whole night in an awkward situation.
That's true. Yeah, it's really a very fast-paced experience. I've only watched it from a distance. I've never experienced it myself. I don't know how well I would do, but in the sense of just like, I don't know how to. You have to have a pitch, like you're selling yourself for 3 minutes. You have to have a pitch immediately, like, hey, by the way, hi, my name is Francis. I right? Like, okay.
Yeah.
That's hard. That's hard to do. That's hard to sell yourself in 3 minutes, right? To somebody.
That's true.
I mean, I don't know. Have you ever met somebody and in a few minutes were already kind of interested and be like, all right, let's, just like serendipitously, not through dating apps or something, just like, oh, you're on the wild and you meet somebody and you're smitten to them.
Not that fast, because usually I have to hear them talking for a bit, and like then they'll just say things that let me know about them in ways where I'm like, oh my god, I love that, and then maybe hear a bit of their humor. And I had a coworker that man, like just the more I heard him talk and the more other people said things about him, like I just like was falling in love.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. I was like, everything about him I love. He wasn't really my physical type, but like I was so attracted to him because like I just like everything he said and everything I heard about him. I was just like, oh my God.
Wow.
He's amazing. But he wasn't single. So
yeah. Well, that's an issue. That could be a slight problem, but all right.
Yeah, it was a bummer because I definitely would have been all over that.
Yeah.
I mean, if he was up
right. Yeah. No, of course. All right. Well, there you go. Anything else? I don't know. Was there anything else there, Sarah?
I think that's I just picked a few of his questions, but I think that's it for what I picked.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again, Right Color Coast, for again sharing with us your questions and always being just so interesting in the types of questions you ask. I mean, contract marriages. The last time you thought about that? Well, I guess 90 Day 90 Day Fiance, right? So. Yeah,
I mean, they're not always like those relationships on there, but you can tell a couple of them are.
Right.
Because like I met her on this special site.
Dink, dink. Yep. Yeah. Big air quotes there. All right. Yeah, I remember when online dating was really taboo for quite some time. It's like, where did you meet them? Well, I met them at a site called eHarmony. It's like, what? See, you met some weirdo one. Like it's always you met some weirdo online. It's like no, they're great.
Right?
It's like, and now it's the way to go. It's like yeah.
You can't meet internet people. They're all like crazy stalkers.
Yeah, they're all crazy basement dwellers. Like oh my goodness. Oh man, you don't want to be around those guys because they're gonna, I don't know, talk to you about Star Trek or something. Like you don't want that.
Or it's never the woman you think you're talking to. It's always a 60-year-old man somewhere. There's always a 60-year-old man out there somewhere.
You know, but what's funny is because, you know, we talk about that, but neither of us have ever been catfished.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. I guess it's possible I've been on a dating site and not known that I was being catfished. I just wasn't interested. But
right,
yeah, no, to my knowledge, I haven't. I don't know how common it is, actually.
I mean, it's common enough to make an MTV show about it.
God,
so, you know.
I love aspects of that show. I will say it can be awfully slow sometimes, but there's like some really interesting
because they have
they
have to pull teeth on some of those stories because nothing ever happened in them. So
I know there's like two interesting scenes, so they have a lot of boring stuff in between. But they have a new co-host on that show. Like I don't watch the show; I just watch clips online on YouTube. And they have a new co-host, Cammie, and I love her. Ooh. She's like smart and rational, and like tells people like it is.
Oh, nice. Okay,
you know, I really like her a lot. So, yeah, I think she keeps the drama down a bit, but she also like doesn't mind like being confrontational when drama's needed, you know?
Right. No, of course. Oh, good. I mean, look, there's enough drama as it is already on reality TV. I remember when a show was very popular, even though I think it showed like, I only saw it like at midnight or something, but it was just a show called Cheaters.
Oh my God, Cheaters! Oh, that show is hilarious when they would run after the cheater.
I mean, it was pretty funny, right? Where the guy would like, we're investigating somebody. It's all in black and white and everything. They're watching like somebody going out with somebody else. And then there's that confrontation, of course, at the end where, oh my God.
And the cameramen are like shaking the camera so much because they're just sprinting after this person.
Where'd he go? Oh, he's over there. Okay, all right. That's all you hear. And you just see the camera bobbing back and forth like, all right, okay, right there.
Oh my God, that show was hilarious.
That show was insane. That was a crazy show. But it was like at midnight or something. I don't remember when it aired, but I only ever saw it like late at night. And it was it was so intense.
So trashy.
Yeah, it was really trashy, but that's why people watched it, right? Like that's why you tuned in, was because of how trashy it was. You had to see.
I like some of the trashy shows,
well,
not gonna lie.
Look, we all have our guilty pleasures, and trashy shows are definitely a guilty pleasure for many. So anyway, but maybe we'll do an episode where we just like recap our favorite Cheaters episodes or something, because it's pretty. Oh man, I think the host got like stabbed once too. Like he got attacked. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because they always blame him, right? They're like, it's your fault. It's all your fault.
Exposing them.
It's your fault. The relationship is falling apart. It's your fault. I don't have anyone now. And it's like, well, you're the one cheating. We're just the ones exposing it. No, it's your fault.
I mean, he did send like a camera crew to like chase them down in the streets.
That's true. Yeah. Well, that's.
I mean, they did the wrong thing for sure. Yeah. But he was like, sick 'em, boys.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Yeah. Oh my God, it was amazing. It was amazing.
I feel bad they got stabbed though. That's not cool.
No. The guy got like injured, but you know, he was fine. He went back at it. Like once he was fine, he went back and did the show again.
He was like, I'm gonna keep doing it.
So he's just like, more of this cheating. Let's do it. Like, all right. I guess, it's his bread and butter, but that was really funny. And the host they got was like, oh man, I don't know. He was I felt like he was always kind of a little swarmy anyway. Like there was just something swarmy. He was
pretty trashy.
Yeah, there was something swarmy about him. But anyway, we have articles to talk about. What do we have to talk about? What article are you interested in today?
Let's talk about why we're soft launching relationships on Insta.
Right.
Not Instagram, just Insta.
Right. Well, it's hard to tell what the new slang is for Instagram because people sometimes say, oh, it's all for the gram. Oh, we do it for the gram. You know?
I think I like that less.
And then it's like, oh, well, hold on. I need to Insta this. Hold on a second. I got to put this on Insta. I'm like, okay. Well, they're trying to FedEx it, right? Like they're trying to turn it into they're trying to turn it a brand into a verb, like Googling and stuff like that, right?
I guess I'm just resistant to change.
Sort of, yeah. No, I'm with you. I say neither. I say I'm going to post it on Instagram. I'm neither going to.
That's what I say. I'm like, I'm going to talk the way that old people talk. I'm not going to say the whole sentence.
I'm not going to Insta it, or I'm not going to do it for the gram. It's all about posting on Instagram. So this article's a little old, but I recently saw it on a more recent article, but it was for soft launching children having children. That was what it was. Soft launching having children.
Oh, well, that makes a lot of sense because you don't know until a little bit further in the pregnancy if you just don't want to have to explain to people if you go through something really terrible.
Right. So, but I figured, well, that doesn't really apply to what we're talking about. But they said, oh, just like you're soft launching your relationships, people are soft launching their babies. I'm like, soft launching a relationship? What is this? And so I looked up that, and this was one of the articles that came up, which was, from 2021, soft launching a relationship on Instagram. So, Sarah, well, we know what a soft launch is when it comes to software and like businesses and stuff like that. But what is soft launching a relationship on Instagram? What do you do? How do you do that? Or on the gram? Excuse me. Sorry.
You can see Pete really wants some attention.
I know. I mean, look, Pete hasn't
He's
had
putting
some
his
love.
paws on me.
Yeah,
he is. I actually think it's a really good idea. Honestly, I don't usually post relationship stuff on Instagram. I post it more on Facebook.
Okay. Well, same thing, right? I guess it's the same concept.
Yeah, it is the same concept. I think it's a really good idea because it just sucks to have to explain to everybody what happened to that guy who was on all your pictures,
right? Like
a couple days ago. And it's better. I like how in this article it says gosh, what do they say? Like, you just put in like the side of his face or something. Mm-hmm. So people are like, oh, there's a new person there. I wonder. Mm-hmm. And so maybe when they see more stuff about him or her later, they're like, oh yeah, I kind of noticed there was someone new in your life, instead of like, oh my gosh, who is that? Tell me everything. Tell me all about your relationship and your plans for the future. And then the next week you have to be like, answering a bunch of questions about how you broke up. So
right.
I think it's really smart, and that's how I would tend to do it, I think.
Yeah. So soft launching isn't, in other words, it's just not straight up like being like, hey, here's this person, and just inundating people with this rando whom people didn't know existed up until recently. You slowly kind of, it's a slow reveal. I mentioned in a episode of the show that like my favorite YouTubers, favorite Japanese YouTubers, even though they're not Japanese, but they live in Japan. They recently got together, and they recently revealed that they were in a relationship. And for some of us shippers who like to ship things, I like my pants. I ship my pants. Anyway. I would I have both of them on Instagram, and I'm watching their stories, and I'm like, so one of them would say, out having dinner, and there'd be a picture of the person with a wine glass, and then in front of them is another wine glass. And I'm like, oh, interesting. Who are they with? But they never mention it. And nobody, and people will ask, and obviously they avoid the questions, but it's like, well, obviously you're out with somebody. Like, Okay. And they constantly, both of them constantly were posting pictures where there'd be a little bit of a hint that somebody else was there with them doing an activity, right? It'll be an extra this or an extra that. And then when they finally made the reveal, it's like, oh, of course. Oh, obviously.
Yeah.
Right. Like, okay. And people were just, okay, wow, I guess we kind of already knew because we always saw the extra glass, or we saw the extra plate of food, or we actually saw the hand that was like off in the corner or something, right? Like, okay, right. But again, never kind of questioning it until, oh, all right, I get it. Right, I get it.
Yeah. No, that's exactly, I think that's the nice thing about it, is because people don't like, they're not like, what? Oh my God, tell me everything. They're like maybe having a conversation with other people, such as so-and-so. I think so-and-so might be seeing someone. I don't know. Like, it kind of looks like from the stuff they're posting, they might be with someone. And like, oh, really? Do you know? Well, like, who is it? Like, I don't know. I could be wrong, And then a few weeks later, when you're talking, they're like, their new boyfriend or new girlfriend. They're like, oh, so they are seeing someone. Okay. It's not a big deal.
And it's also because, my God, do we love to just post everything about our lives online. And it's nice to have some things private, right? Like, it's nice to have, especially in a budding relationship, it's nice to know that I don't have to, or there's not an expectation that I have to post everything we've done together online. Like, we don't have, I'm like, oh, look, here's us doing a thing. Oh, we have to we got to make sure we get that selfie so that people know we're doing a thing, right? Like, oh, you don't have to think about that anymore. You can just kind of get, just enjoy the moment, in other words.
That's true. Like, it doesn't have to be about like presenting something to people. Yeah. I also think this isn't necessarily true. I'm not like saying people are bad people, but sometimes people see relationships fall apart on social media, and they can be kind of judgy, or they can think things like, oh, they're always like posting how happy they are with their new boyfriend, and like the next minute they're broken up. And if you kind of keep things more to yourself, people will be less maybe negative about the fact that you aren't, always in long-term relationships or really successful relationships. And not necessarily that they would say it to your face, but they might be telling other people about this, or like kind of gossiping. And it's better to just not give people like that fuel.
Yeah. And again, that's your private life, and it should be your thing to deal with, not the world's, right? You don't need other people, coworkers, relatives looking at your stuff and being like, oh, there they are at it again. Oh my goodness. Oh, here's another one. Oh, whatever, right? Like,
yeah, like she's always posting all of her boyfriends. Why doesn't she just keep it to herself until she knows it's going to work?
Right. Yeah.
So better not to make that like your identity to people, that you're always posting all of your significant others.
Yeah. I mean, when you're married, okay, that makes sense, right? Like,
for sure. But if it's like established and it's like for the long term, then that's cool. But yeah, you could definitely like come across a certain way, and it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal if you date a lot of people.
No. I mean, that happens. That's the world we live in now, actually. I think it's more expected that you date a lot before finding. I feel like you're constantly, I don't know if it's leveling up, but you're constantly like looking for that thing. And it just, so I don't know. I think that it's better that way. Much better that way. But anyway,
I agree.
So there you go. Soft launch. I would say soft launch everything. Soft launch your entire life. My God, people, just do it. Like, you don't need to be in your face about every aspect of your life immediately. New job, soft launch it.
Just show like the corner of your business card in the picture.
Right. Well, right, exactly. You know, do you have an office? Well, just show like a part of your desk, but don't show the whole thing. You got a new car? Just show the wheel. We don't need to know the rest. Just take your time on showing us your brand new car. Stuff like that. Just take your time. You don't need to. New pet, right? Just show the tail. We'll figure out the rest. Don't worry about it. We know what we're doing. We've got social media covered. We can have that. We can get that handled. But there you go. So that's great. I love it. I love that we're finding new terms for, like, we're just labeling stuff. We just have our little label gun and being like, okay, well, this is fubbing. This is vabbing. This is soft launching. Okay. And we're just putting it in our little label machine and just letting it zip it out and just labeling stuff. It's great.
Yeah, we love labeling stuff these days, don't we?
We do. We like to give stuff names. I wish we'd give it weird, cool, like foreign language names, like something German or something, you know. Or French, yeah.
Difficult to pronounce.
Oh, yeah. Look, my favorite word, and something that I'm sure a lot of people like to do, is Schadenfreude, right? Like, we love Schadenfreude, right?
Oh my gosh, I've never heard of anyone pronounce it that way. That's probably the correct way to do it. I can't pronounce, like, any of the cool words. That makes me so much cooler.
How did you pronounce Schadenfreude? How do you...
I don't know. I have to, like, look it up and read it and then try. Yeah. I can't even remember all the letters in it.
It's a lot of letters, but Schadenfreude is the thing where you like to see other people, you take pleasure in other people's misery, sort of. Like, you kind of enjoy the Schadenfreude.
What did they used to call that? Oh my God, I hate this term, but they used to call it, I think, justice boner.
Oh, justice boner? Wow.
Like, you feel good when, like, someone gets their comeuppance or something.
Okay, America. We need to stop putting boner on everything, okay? Like, because, oh my God, what was it? Someone was talking about, or maybe you did, I don't remember, but somebody was talking about a handsome looking man. It's like, oh, lady boner. Lady boner, really? Yeah. Really? We're going lady boner now? Like, okay.
Yeah, come on, lady erection. Let's be classy here.
Even still, it's just like, okay, I guess. But there's a whole, and then I found out there's a subreddit called Lady Boners. And so you can find just attractive looking guys in suits and stuff, and they're lady boners. And then there's one, I think, called Gentleman Boners, which is women in nice dresses and suits. So,
Gentleman
boners? Well, because it's not just...
Should call it Elite Boners.
Elite Boners. Oh, man. This is the boner episode. Yeah. Anyway.
We sure are saying it a lot at the end here.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, it's because you brought it up. You brought up.
Sorry, I told you I hated the term, but
anyway, all right. Well, we have another show to get going. So thanks everyone for listening. You guys are awesome. We do appreciate it. Again, the only thing we ask for right now is that you go to your podcatcher of choice and rate the show. Give us some love. 5 stars if you can, please. That lets people know we exist, shares the world with the world that we are a podcast. And look, hey, relationships are a big deal. People are willing to pay big money to be in one, right? Like, that's what we do nowadays. We're willing to buy matchmakers. We're willing to pay for people from across the ocean and countries to be with. Like, we do this stuff. So we'd love to talk about it. And your questions are important. Is this love pod at gmail.com? Is this love pod? My voice is all the T's and the S's are all getting slurred together. Is this love pod at gmail.com? Is this love pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook? And of course, you can find me at AKA the other guy, AKA the other guy, not AKA the other guy. It's AKA the other guy. And Sarah Pete. No, Sarah Nade Pete.
I'm sorry, it's so complicated. I'll change it someday to something better. I'll figure something out.
That's on Instagram if you want to see Sarah and her cat. So check that out. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for hanging out. And remember to be spooky this month. Spooky. Woo, scary. Get that Count Chocula in your face. Bye everyone.